Hello, this is Jim Ledoux with Vibrant Faith Ministries. I serve as the Director of Coaching and Training and want to give you a few suggestions on how you might more intentionally weave in caring conversations into your daily, weekly, and monthly routine. Here's a brief definition of caring conversation. And as you read through that, just want to remind you that the importance of caring conversations is, first of all, that it builds trust. It builds a sense of rapport and camaraderie within teams. It allows us to go deeper where we can share our hopes and dreams and challenges and thoughts and opinions with one another. But caring conversations is really kind of the glue, the foundation that supports a faith that we talk about on a regular basis. And the purpose of this brief recording is really to provide you with some basic tools or ideas on how you can do that more intentionally. And so the first tool I want to talk about are called Faith Talk cards. These are cards that you can use in your car. You can use them over the dinner time. You can use them as a check-in with a small group. But they're literally dozens upon dozens of cards that have questions on them that lead to some engaging, stimulating, thoughtful conversation. Because in some ways we've lost the art of how we connect with one another, and we really fail to ask questions when we gather. And one of the memories I have is two people sitting at a Perkins restaurant, and one person's reading a book, the other one's reading crossword puzzles. And it's kind of a reminder that even though we spend time together, we don't actually make the most of it to deepen a relationship with one another. So Faith Talk cards is one of those critical, helpful pieces that can help you do that on a regular basis. And if you happen to be a card player, we also sell Man Talk cards. These cards have 5 different questions on them. So as you're playing poker or bridge or 31 or any other card games, there's questions that you can dialogue with one another as you're playing. And they're specifically designed for men 18 years and older, but a great way to kind of engage in conversation as long as you're already gathered. And there's also different tools, simple things that you can do. You see this forced choice. Doing simple things of asking people, for example, at a family gathering. Are you a dreamer or are you a doer? Are you a planner or are you a promoter? Are you a thinker or a feeler? Are you structured or spontaneous? Are you task-oriented or people-oriented? Are you a collector or a tosser? And are you an early arriver or late arriver? Simple questions like that allow us to better understand and appreciate the uniqueness of each person. In addition, a resource that I find very helpful is called a Blessing Bowl and Mat. And we often use this during Thanksgiving or family gatherings, but we just pass the mat around, or as people are sitting at tables, people will spend a few minutes talking about the mountain highs of their life since we last gathered, or perhaps the valley lows, or something that they remember. So you see all the different themes and topics, but they can be a great way to reconnect with people. This is a common resource we use during certification school now to do daily and weekly check-ins and use at our reunion time. But think about the Blessing Bowl and Mat as being a resource for you as well. Also want to encourage you to think about how often are your conversations centered around faith and finances, and how do we help people share, save, and spend in ways that reflect our Christian stewardship. And so there's some cards here that actually have faith and financial type of topics listed that kind of get at the heart of the share, save, spend mindset. And so simple cards can be used again during mealtime, can be used in the car, lots of different settings. And speaking of settings, just a reminder that there's so much online that one can access to have caring conversation. And I'm highlighting the Vibrant Faith at Home website, where there's just a wealth of different caring conversation tools that you can find at this particular site. In addition, you can go to a downloadable section with Vibrant Faith Ministries. I'll give you the link afterwards to help you go deeper in caring conversations. And 2 of my favorite tools is one is called How Has God Shaped You? And tool number 5 here you'll see Would You Rather questionnaires. The Would You Rather is a really fun one to use with younger people. And the How Has God Shaped You is a great piece for small groups, for leadership teams, and also for family gatherings. Another wonderful resource for going deeper and having caring conversations is a resource called For Everything a Season. It's actually developed around 75 different milestones or kind of rituals and traditions within a family setting, taking into account daily routines, seasonal events, yearly holidays, life stages, etc. But every one of the items lifted up in that book has time for caring conversation built right into it. One of the things that I enjoy doing, as you look at this slide, is I like to go golfing, and I used to coordinate small groups at a church I served, and we made the golfing events filled with caring conversation opportunities, where we'd ask at each hole, each foursome would be asking each other different various questions, and then we wove in, of course, prayers during dinner time, and we wove in service projects. But the fact of the matter is, after 18 holes, we had a much better understanding and appreciation of each other based on the question we asked during each hole. Also want to encourage you to think about given social media and Twitter and Facebook, the Take the Caring Conversation Challenge is a resource that we often do with our certification schools, walking through these questions to get to know one another better. And you might want to think about taking advantage of asking questions when you're online with your friends and family members. In addition, we want to encourage you to think about how do you practice faith, have caring conversations on the go. I've already talked about the Faith Talk cards. So there's another similar resource called Comfy Chair. Certainly you can be talking about what's in the news, but given the fact that you're in the same car, rather than simply putting on headsets or listening just to music, how do we take advantage of that time on the go to deepen relationships? And certainly a lot of research will bear out the importance of having caring conversation and regular times of care and support during meal times. And so how do you take those moments to reflect on the day and make the most of those relationships? And keep in mind, as you're taking trips, I happen to love to ski, so some of my best caring conversations with people have literally been going up and down the ski slopes, or in the car, or on the train, or in the airplane. But think about how you provide resources for caring conversation when you take trips. And certainly one of my other favorite ones, in particular with my youngest and son, is to have some caring conversation around bedtime. And these are some questions that we often ask in addition to doing a prayer and a kind of a bedtime ritual. But we talk about the fun or funny or favorite moment of the day. We talk about when were you most aware of God. We talk about who is in need of God's love. And we talk about what we've been thankful for the day. And we usually talk about highs and lows of the day, as well as hopes for tomorrow. So just a simple routine to make the most of our bedtime evening gatherings. And so what we want to encourage you to think about is, how do you weave caring conversations into everything that you do? And there's a form that you can use actually to think about how you weave it into your travel time, your meal time, your bedtime, your work time, your church time. But the goal is that we have caring conversations throughout the day, throughout the week, and it just becomes part of what we do. And so the challenge I leave with you is, what might you do this week to have caring conversations with your friends and with your family members? And just a few thoughts to think about in that particular mindset is, I'd encourage you to set some 30-day goals, or maybe an annual goal where certain things might begin for you. Think about the low-hanging fruit. I would suggest maybe starting with meal times might be that for you, or the time that you're in your car. Begin with your own household rather than just the church or in a work setting. And think about what is already working for you, where you might go deeper with current caring conversation practices. And but I challenge you to think about continuing to share your stories with one another, to draw out other people's stories, to both share and to ask, to encourage that dialogue. And some things will work for you, some will not. Just learn along the way, and treat these ideas of having caring conversations, practicing our faith, as an adventure. And the final piece would be just simply, how do we be consistent and persistent to make this part of our daily and weekly ritual. So if you're looking for some additional resources, feel free to give me a call or send me an email. You'll also see at the very bottom there that tinyurl.com/VFM resources. That's where you can get a wealth of Caring Conversation tools under the Faith Formation Tools section. And so I hope you find this helpful and wish you the best as you practice caring conversation every day, everywhere, with everyone. Thanks.